Hello, everyone. Welcome again to another edition of G.T.E Professional Network Podcast. Again, I'm your host, Ed Peterson. Today is Thursday, ladies and gentlemen. You know, we always say Throwback Thursday, but today is a wonderful Thursday. I have my special guest on today, Mr. Francisco Chapa, from the Real Estate Group, which is the business that he's founded and has also been doing this for the past 20 years. He's also a retired veteran as well from the
Thank you.
military, Army. And we want to thank him for his service and all the things that we're doing. Since we've been thanking everybody, I've been putting everybody on the show. Really, ladies and gentlemen, 'cause I heard your voice, I heard your call in reference to how do we find out about certain information that's going to be relevant for me to do what I want to do. And so, if you're a first-time home buyer, if you're an existing home buyer, if you're trying to sell your home or downsize your home to another home, then this gentleman here, I think, is one of the best experts in the field when it comes to being as a realtor broker and all the things that he's shared over the 20 plus years he's been doing this business. And so the real estate group is based, of course, it's in Texas, Houston. And he's been doing, like I said, a lot. And I have a lot of clients down there that's been asking these questions. So I wanted to say, Frank, thank you for coming on to the podcast, brother. And just tell us a little bit about yourself and what got you really started in the real estate business.
It's 15 hours.
Thank you so much, Ed. I appreciate the beautiful introduction and the warm welcome out here. Well, to be quite honest with you, when I got into real estate, I like you mentioned, I'm a veteran of the Gulf War. I served during the when Reagan was in charge. So
Yeah.
it was quite some years ago. My profession, what I went into was the medical field. I got into the medical field, and I like the medical field to be able to help people. And so I actually was a line medic. I was attached to a tanker unit, 4th of the 70th Armor. Shout out to our insides out there.
Yeah,
4th of the 70th Armor, and I loved it. I got out of the military, and I went and worked at several hospitals. Although my father would always say, and this happened a little bit over 30 years ago, which is actually when I did get into real estate. My father said that the business I need to be in was real estate, right? And so I took a vacation, 2-week vacation from my job. I was working in a hospital, loved it there, and I asked for a 2-week vacation. I went out there and got my real estate license. And when I got my real estate license, I said, hey, I need something where I can really grow, right? When I can really, really grow, and where there's not a limit where I can get to. And unfortunately, when you're working for corporate or any of those environments, there's only a certain how far you can go before somebody moves and allow you to get into their position. So I got into real estate, and at a very young age, straight out of the Gulf War. I was in my early 20s when I got there. When I got into real estate, I'm in my late 50s now, and back then, real estate was a little bit different than it is now, just like everything else.
Yeah.
In the real estate field, people were looking for a father figure, somebody that can guide them, mentor them into what's going to be the greatest purchase of their life. So I definitely wasn't there. I was very young. And my broker, which I remember was Ron Skaggs with Century 21 office that I was with, he said, son, you're a little bit early here. Come back years from now when you become older. And I told him, sir, with all due respect, I go, you're failing in this interview that I'm having with you. He starts laughing, right? But knowing that was my weak point, I used it to my advantage. I basically, it was farming was extremely important back then, in which you would go out there knocking on doors, talking to people, and getting to know the neighborhoods, because we didn't have computers, we didn't have the MLS system the way it is now. It was a book with pictures, so you had to know which properties were available. They were sold, take the sheet out, and get the new ones once they came back out. And first thing I told everybody, I said, hey, you know what? I'm very young. My father said this is the business I need to be in. I would appreciate if you can give me an opportunity. If you ever decide to sell your house, or somebody's looking to buy. Sure enough, very soon I became a top listing agent with Century 21. And it was by knowing what is the weakest point in that person. I didn't consider it to be my weakest point, but that was the weakest point in the industry, my age.
Mm-hmm.
And so embracing it, understanding it, and utilizing it in your favor. So turn around what can break you and let that be what makes you. And
Right.
so that's how I managed to become the top listing agent. I basically asked for the opportunity. You ask people what is it that you want, and people will most likely give it to you. I think
Yeah.
one of the biggest mistakes we make, Ed, is that we fail to ask and only assume and expect, right? How
Right.
can you assume to receive it and expect to have it when you haven't even asked for what it is that you want? And
Yeah.
and so therefore that's what I did, and I did become a top listing agent. Soon after I got into the investment side because made quite a bit of money in real estate in my early age, so got into the investment side,
Mm-hmm.
and so I dabbled with the investment side with flips. Got to purchase a lot of properties at that point. Got to do owner financing, and made the full circle. Now I am part of EXP, which is one of the biggest brokerages in the world.
Yeah.
Okay, um, and so I belong to the name of my team is the Real Estate Edit Group, which is brokered by EXP Realty. So love it here. We get to grow around the world, get to
Yeah.
be everywhere. So that's and I'm also a firm believer that you can only grow as big as the pot that you're in.
Yeah.
You know, so you got to plant yourself in a big place if you want to grow big, right?
Right.
That's and EXP offers that to me. I have my own brokerage, I have my own thing going, and I realized after doing the numbers, it's better to be a part of something
Big.
bigger
Mm-hmm.
than it is try to just make it with what you have, and
Right.
that's how that got started. Yeah.
Yeah, and that's the way it is when you're doing business to business or B2B. When you find yourself in a bigger pot, like you said, it's better to be in a bigger pot than in a pot that you put yourself in for your business. A lot of times we don't seem to really get that information or the gist of how important that may be, so you can grow, even expand even more.
Yeah.
And so that's why a lot of the entrepreneurs, and I share this with everybody that's on my podcast. So even I'm building websites or doing marketing campaigns for them. You want to connect with it and build strategic relationships everywhere you go. And the more
100%.
you build that, the stronger you get. And it's not just you, because you can't do it all by yourself. You're not an island. So, but also now, this is June 25th, 2026. And I know a lot of people are asking questions about the real estate market. Frank, what's going on with it? Is it a buyer's market? Is it a seller's market? What market are we in right now, currently, today?
Well, the one that's controlling the market right now are the buyers for the most part. Of course, it shifts in areas and neighborhoods, right? But
Yeah.
for the most part, in general, I would say it's a buyer's market. They're controlling the market, and
Mhm.
anytime that happens, the seller is going to lose.
Yeah.
It's definitely not going to make what they would try to make because again, it's about inventory. There's a lot of inventory, and there's less people actually buying.
Right.
Therefore, the buyer has a choice, and so you got to have incentives that will draw them to your house in order to be able to get your home sold, or sit on the house a little bit longer than you normally would. And being that we left a seller's market not too long ago during COVID, and it was a very strong seller's market. It was people interest rates were low. A lot of people were buying at higher prices than listed. So you get from there to a place where
Mhm.
now the seller's got to contribute towards closing cost, or if you bought your house 5 years ago and now you want to sell it because your neighbor is selling it cheaper than what you owe, you know, those are things that take place when situations like this happen. And during this time is when creative financing starts growing and taking place. And we
Yeah.
need that. We need the creative financing plans out there as well. And we're starting to see a lot of creative financing. There's a
Mhm.
lot of opportunities for people that normally would not qualify to be able to qualify and buy a home right now. So if a buyer is looking to buy, this is the best time for them to buy, right? Because one, most likely it's going to be lower closing costs because the seller would be more than willing to contribute. Two, they're probably going to get a much better price,
Right.
Because there's a lot of inventory.
Yeah.
Right. So it's a very good time for a buyer to buy, I would say.
Yeah. Well, thank you for that because I've been looking and I see the listings now, and it's a lot of properties and a lot of availability. Whether I go on Zillow or Redfin and look at properties there that's available, and now that they have different style homes, whether it's a 3-2 or 4-2 or 5-3 or 5-4, whatever. It depends on the size of your family that you're looking for. And I know everybody's looking at it. So how would you go about sizing a family of four, so to speak, to get a decent price on their first home?
Well, I mean, in order, I'm also a financial strategist, right? And
Mm-hmm.
and what I mean by that is we utilize insurance as a banking system to be able to bank through the insurance company. That way allows you to borrow back and pay your mortgage. Right now, the way equity is being built up in properties, right?
Yes.
It's a little bit slower than we would like. Therefore, for a person that's going into buying a home and is thinking they're going to have a lot of equity here
Right.
soon, and they're probably we don't know what the market's going to do, right? But,
Right.
but basically, to build equity in the home right now, it's going to be a little bit difficult because the market continues to be shifting, right? So
Right.
for a first time home buyer and a second time home buyer or an investor, I would say it's manage your money correctly. And in my opinion, I would say bank through a policy because the equity is going to grow quicker within your money than it will within your property. But when you combine them together, it becomes a powerful tool.
Yeah.
Because now, even though the equity would be growing slowly in your property, the money is growing in your policy. And so you put them together, you're going to be doing pretty well off, right?
Right.
So I would say that for first time home buyer is one, take advantage of the programs that are out there to be able to get in with little or no money down. Not every realtor has the experience to teach you
Right.
to purchase right. I mean, we're not going out there and buying eggs and eggs in the grocery store, right? You're about
Right.
to make the biggest purchase of your life.
Right.
Therefore, it's not just, hey, go open the door, take a look at it, let's get a home inspection, and it's a great thing. No, there's strategy that takes place that time will teach you. And if somebody's been in the industry for a while, they've been through a market like today, they could probably guide you to a better way. And I would say listen to your agent. Listen
Hmm.
to your agent because especially if they've been through a market similar to this one, they might have some important information that can help you. So,
Right.
and a lot of people are not prepared to listen,
Yeah.
or they say, well, you know what, my brother just got his license. I want to give him the business. Was it good business? No offense. We all started there, right?
Right.
But if that agent pretends to know everything right now and quits learning or quits asking, then you're doing a disfavor to your client because you could have helped them up a lot better.
Yeah.
And that would have made your client a much more powerful client in the near future that can buy a lot more real estate. You know,
Right.
so I would say do your homework, do it right. Pick up an agent that is going to be able to
Mhm.
guide you through this market to be able to make the right offer and to be able to teach you how to process the money before it goes to from a point A to point B, where that money can take you further.
Yeah. Hmm. Yeah, and there's always a lot of misconceptions with that too, Frank. I'm glad you shared that because I know a lot of buyers don't get the full story when they buy, and they just excited because now they have this extra money, or they built up their money because everybody do that. But again, the pre-approvals are process has to be done first, though, before they got to be pre-qualified first before they can even think about getting a house. And through the pre-qualifications, some people meet it, some people don't, and some people don't even know what it all entails.
Right. There's a big difference between pre-qualified and pre-approved.
Yeah.
Right. It's
Right.
it's. I personally, I want to make sure that the client has already turned in all their documents, and the client is actually, we're not going by what you put in the application and getting you qualified, and let's go out there and showing you, right? We need to know that you can prove what you said. So we got to get you pre-approved, where the only thing missing now it's going to be the property,
Right.
right? Because now we can show you what you can actually afford, and we have more negotiating power that way.
Okay.
So it is important, because unfortunately, a lot of clients, they start off pre-approved a certain amount and they get pre-qualified for a little bit more, but now they got to prove the difference of income to be able to prove that. Now it could become an issue, right? So it is extremely important for the agents out there not to waste their time, and not to waste their time, not to waste the client's time. If the client is not basically approved to be able to buy that home,
Right.
and getting them approved is not hard. Okay, don't get me wrong. There's a lot of programs out there that can fit a lot of people's needs.
Right.
Okay, right now, there's a great program out there that I've been working with very closely, which is the Tule River program out there, and basically, it's for people that have a hard time getting approved, right? That allows them to be able to still purchase a home. So there's a plenty of ways of doing it, but you have to be honest with yourself, and you have to submit everything you have so that lender can set you in the proper path, so we can go out there and get you into that home.
Right.
So, yeah.
Wow, that's powerful. Yeah, I'm glad you shared that. There is a difference between pre-qualified and being pre-approved.
Yeah.
And being pre-approved gives you a certain amount that you have been approved for to get a home, but again, you still gotta back that up with documentation.
You got to back it up.
Right. And so when I noticed that a lot of us have been doing this, and we've been thinking about, well, who do we go to, and what realtor is good for us, and who's most knowledgeable, depending on the type of home that I'm looking for, a particular home that I'm looking for. But the way homes are being built today, which ain't that many, you go with the builders out here today, and they are telling you that, well, we're getting ready to do this division. You got Perry Homes, you got KB Homes, you got all these different builders out here. But what if I want to have my own home built the way I want to build it? And what do I need to do for that? Well, I share with them, one, you're going to need land to do that. Number one, it would be good to purchase your own land. Then you can put whatever house style you want on that property. But you can't put your house on a builder's property, because they own the property. They bought the property for their specific use of what type of home they're going to put on that property. So you can't do that. So the best thing to do is to do your homework. Like you said, Frank, it's best to study to show yourself to be approved. So that way, once you have all your documents in place and your funds in place, and you go into that system, the lenders are the ones that really let you know exactly what's really going on with your stability to maintain a home, especially if you're talking about a 30-year or even sometimes a 15-year mortgage.
Yeah.
And the way rents are going right now, what do you think is better, to rent or to own a home today?
I mean, it depends on the area. A lot of times, again, I work with money and real estate together, right? So it would be a very different opinion that I can give than normally.
Right.
That if I only work with real estate, I would say own, right? But since I don't just work with real estate, I work with the whole picture, then there's a lot of areas that is worth leasing rather than owning. And why I say that is, for example, certain areas that the mortgage is going for $5,000 a month, right? And the leases are going for $2,500 or $3,000 a month.
Right.
Now, if you want to live in the zip code, to be able to take advantage of the schools and everything there, well, $2,500 a month is half of $5,000 a month, right? Then it doesn't make sense for me to be able to do that. I would prefer putting $5,000 a month into a policy, borrow back $2,500 to pay my mortgage, to pay my rent, and be able to accumulate $60,000 a month, $60,000 a year by putting that money into the policy. So my interest grows in that amount of money, so it makes more sense, way more sense to lease. But again, we're utilizing this to leverage this, which makes the whole picture, makes it make sense.
Yeah.
Okay?
Yeah.
So my opinion, with my 30 plus years in experience in this business, right? One thing alone doesn't do it. People think real estate alone. No, it doesn't. It doesn't do it, right? There's a multiple things that come with it that you have to all include in this beautiful soup that we're brewing up, right? You got to add all these things in order to maximize the results.
Okay, so let me ask you this thing, Frank, because I was, you really giving me some great answers, and thank you for that, because this is really giving me something to think about to help others that asked me the question in reference to that. And I was thinking, because say for instance you have a scenario where you have a homeowner that has equity in a home. Say for instance they have like $175,000 of equity. Would it be good for them to take part of that out and put it into what you say, insurance type of thing, or the IUL or whatever they call it nowadays, and let that money sit and grow, and they'll be able to pay, even though the mortgage may go up a little bit, depending on how much you're borrowing, you're taking from it. Would that be a better way to secure yourself so that way you can pay the house off?
1,000%.
Okay.
Right? I will always tell you, always owe your mortgage, right?
Yeah.
Now, and the reason I say this, okay, let me explain. Right now, even if people would consider interest rates are high, okay, and let's just say that you're paying a 7% on your mortgage. The mortgage is costing you 7%. If you can pull that money out into something that's going to give you greater than a 7%, then it makes sense. I will always give you 7% if I'm going to make 10.
Right.
Every day of the week, right? Every day of the week that I'm winning.
Right.
Okay. So out of the mortgage money, I'm making an additional 3%, 100%. Yes, it makes 100%. So therefore, should you owe? Yes, when it makes sense. When the money that you're borrowing is costing less than what your money is making you. So and where we are now in this place, yes, it makes sense. Because other than that, you're complaining about the 7% that you're paying. Because you're hoping to see the 3% that once was there to come back. Right? So in that case, why don't we use that in our favor?
Right.
Okay.
Right.
Great. 7%. How does 7% not matter to me? How can 7% not matter to me when 7% is making me money?
Right.
When 7% is costing me money, it matters to me.
Right.
Right. So, and that's what I mean by knowing half of the deal. Right. If you're only looking at your mortgage and what it is, and can you borrow, what can you do with it? If you don't have a place where it's going to make you more money and make more sense, then don't take it out.
Right.
Okay. But if there is, then yes, take it out. And then mortgage, by applying it into something like this, you can pay it off in less than 10 years. If you wanted to, because your cash accumulation here within 5 to 7 years, it's already there to the value of the property. Therefore, you have the cash accumulated. Would you pay it off? No. Again, it's making me more money. I would probably refi again and get more money out of it.
Right.
To be able to put more money to where the money's making me. Does it make sense?
Yeah, it makes a lot of sense, Frank. And I'm glad you shared that, because I was talking with you before, and I was talking with a lot of realtors that's on that space. But on the insurance side of it. And then here's another scenario. One of my business partners was asking this question that, hey, Ed, I heard about these UILs. I heard about these different investment things. I have insurance. But what if I have insurance set up in something else, like a Charles Schwab or something like that? I have something in there. Can I pull that out and put it into one of these systems where it'll grow my money? And I told him the answer to that would be yes, because again, you want to be able to secure your mortgage where you don't have to worry about your mortgage. And today, people are kind of skeptical with it because they don't have the information, Frank, as to why would they do something like that, and what is the real benefit of me putting it into one of these, programs.
Right. I mean, it's a one thing what I tell my clients, putting banking out of a policy is not the final destination. It's the road to wherever you want to take it to. If you want to invest in anything else, invest it, do it. But before you do that, let's swing it through here. Put it into a policy, borrow against it. Now go invest it, and let it grow here. Because again, you're not taking the money out; you're borrowing from it. You're never taking the money out. Therefore, your money was always there. You want to, out of that loan that you got out of your policy, do you want to go make your other investments? By all means, go do it. You want to go play poker with it? Go play poker with it. But before you go anywhere else, put it here.
And what about some people that just inherit their home? Like the parents passed away or a family member passed away, and now they got the home. They're taking over the mortgage payments, and they're using their job or whatever they have to sustain it or to pay for it, but not knowing this particular tool is available to them. And so when you get ready to talk about it, how would you share that with somebody who haven't heard nothing about an opportunity like this, where they can put money into something where they can secure their mortgage so they don't have to worry about it? And I know a lot of homeowners, we're trying to save people from losing their homes today. And that's another big piece of that puzzle, Frank, that you talked about, that I really wish everybody would get a chance to understand how important this can be for average people who just, again, inherited a home, just got the home, and now something happened where the job's not doing what they're supposed to do. Companies are laying folks off. Things are happening. Now what am I going to do with my mortgage? Do I take the equity out, or that's built up into it prior to me even touching it? And then what do I do with that money? So there's a lot of what ifs that a lot of people are not sure about. But can you go over in detail and explain exactly why is it beneficial to do it in a UIL and all that?
An IUL?
Yeah.
Okay. Again, the policy's got to be structured to a way that it allows you to be able to borrow, and it makes sense. Okay, it's not. You have to have the liquidity there to be able to do that. Now, can you go out there and pull the equity out of your home and put it into an IUL, and then borrow back and pay it back into the mortgage? That way, you have equity again, and you filled it. Absolutely. Because you're not taking the money out of the policy, you're borrowing it back to pay over there.
Right.
Okay. So now what you just did by doing that, you went ahead and got a loan to build the equity, to pull the equity. Now you have the money. Now the money you can put it into an IUL, and that is properly structured. Again, you put it into there. Now you can, once it's in there, you can borrow back that money from your IUL to pay that debt that you opened. Now, basically, your property now owes the debt to your IUL, not to the bank. Yet, your money never left your policy. Your money was always there. So you're making the interest on the money within your policy. You paid off that lien on that property that you borrowed from. But that lien is now owed to the policy.
I see what you're saying.
So therefore, it's still your money. Everything here,
Right.
everything now becomes your money.
Right.
Okay, and that's why this is called infinite banking, the strategy, right?
Mm-hmm.
That's why this term is called becoming your own bank, because now you become your own bank. Now you borrow. First, you borrowed from the property.
Right.
Okay, now you put it into your policy. Now you borrow from your policy to pay it off to your property.
And you can
Now,
pay back the amount that you took out.
well, yeah,
Back.
and now you got to borrow. Now your property owes the money to your policy.
Right.
Okay, so basically, your property shows that it's got a lien, and that lien is your lien, and if you structure a note that pays off that lien monthly, that monthly goes back into your policy from the money that you borrowed, and at the same time you're already making the interest on your policy the way it was, right? There's a million ways to structure this, and the idea of all this is to always use the money to work for you as well.
Right.
If you want to balance the market, okay? If you do not do that, then you're working on a one-legged market, and you're going by what real estate is doing at that point.
So, what would be a good start then, Frank, for them that have a mortgage payment? And say their mortgage payment is like $2,000 a month. If they take the money out from the property, and then it goes up to $2,300 a month. So an extra $300 is added to that original mortgage note. And so, say for instance, they took out $20,000. They can put the $20,000 in the UIL, the whole amount, and now that extra $300 a month, they know they got to add to that difference for
the payment.
Right, for the payment note, to pay back that $20,000 that you took out.
Right.
And once you have the UIL set up and you said structured properly, where it's a note where it can pay back monthly, that $2,300 a month note mortgage payment, now you have something that's going to continue to build and grow while you're paying this back.
Yeah, for example, the policy becomes a piggy bank, right? So so now you're gonna pay. You're and for quick math, right? Let's just put it at $2,500.
Okay.
$2,500 a month. You're gonna put into your policy. You're gonna borrow $2,300 every single month to pay your note.
Right.
Okay. Those $2,500, if we multiply them by 12 months, right? We're looking at what is it? 25,000. It's 30,000. Is that correct?
$2,500 a month.
Yeah.
Yeah, exactly 30,000.
$30,000. So now you have $30,000 into your policy that's making an interest based on the SP 500. Okay, and you borrowed every month to pay your note. At the end of the year, you got $30,000 there. That if you wanted to borrow the 20 grand that you took out, you can now borrow for your policy and pay that back to the mortgage. Okay,
and then you'll be back down to your level of worse. Yeah.
But now you have all that money in your policy that's making you interest. So now you're the one making the interest.
Got it.
Okay,
that's smart.
It's become the player, not the game. You know, we have to shift things. We have to shift things and control it. Now it takes discipline. There's got to be an intention. What is your intention?
Right.
What are you trying to achieve? You have to have discipline to be able to do it every single month, right? Because doing it one day or two doesn't work. This is a commitment that you're getting into, that this is the way you are going to reprogram yourself to bank. Okay. When you get that, you're good.
Right.
You're good.
Gotcha.
It's basically what banking out of a policy, what becomes is your expenses become profits.
Right.
Okay, because you're paying your things off. Then normally what we would do, if every month I got $2,000 worth of expenses, they're gone. Every month, $2,000 are gone.
Yeah.
That's easy. We can all do that. The question is, how do we put that where they're not gone? Do we go find a sugar mama or sugar daddy?
Right.
How are you going to do that?
Right.
Well, there's systems where you can do that. And
Right.
this is one of them. You put your money here, you never spend it, you always borrow to make the payments.
I'm glad you said that. That is the key right there, Frank, that we definitely need to stick a pin in, because that is something that I think everybody needs to know. You have to be disciplined, like you said. It's true. You're only using that money to pay back the mortgage.
Right.
Yeah, that's only that. Now, if you want another system, you can add another system that you just want to do for your pleasures and other things you may want to add. But over here, this is just to talk about the house.
Why are we designing this system? Right?
Mhm.
So that's where the discipline comes in.
Right.
What is this system being designed for?
Right.
And we got to stay focused. That's what the system is for. And so it's so easy to get out of focus, because at the end of the year, again, like I said, if you put $2,000, you got $24,000 at the end of the year that accumulated, that you can easily borrow 20 grand from there, easy.
Right.
But that wasn't the reason we structured this. We structured this for a purpose. Let's be disciplined. Now, a year from now, we can sit down and we can say, let's restructure it.
Right.
What are your intentions now? So we restructure it to your new intentions, and they're usually better.
Right, because another thing too, Frank, that I was thinking about too while you was talking about this was that, what if I want to do a remodeling of the house, or I want to revamp my backyard to have a deck, and I want a pool. I want to put some amenities there to add the value to the house, because now I have this money that I can accumulate, that I've accumulated, and say, for instance, that the cost to do a revamp of the backyard maybe $15,000 to $15,000 to $17,000 to $18,000. Mm-hmm. And with that 18 grand to revamp my backyard, would that be feasible for me as I continue to expand and grow, and also pay off my mortgage?
Yeah, you could actually, if you got the time for your money to accumulate, to be able to borrow from your policy to pay it, great, right? If you're going to get a HELOC, if you're going to go ahead and get a home line of credit to be able to do it, then great. Get that HELOC, put that money into the policy, borrow back from the policy to be able to pay what you're going to do. So sure, you're going to be paying interest on that loan that you borrowed, but it's also making you more interest out here. And then you pay back the HELOC, and you get to do that. There's also premier financing, which means that even the bank will pay your policy to allow it to grow, to be able to borrow from it, right? So there's many ways that you can structure how to be able to utilize the money to work for you.
Yeah. Wow.
But never let it go before you place it in the right order.
Right. Right.
We live in an abundant universe. Okay. There's abundance.
Yes.
The reason we see lack is because the way we structure it.
Damn.
Okay.
There is no lack. There is no
lack.
There is no lack. I say that all the time.
We live in an abundant world.
Right.
Right. So structure it and put it correctly and watch it grow.
Yeah,
if you don't, then
okay. Thank you for that, because that's exactly. Yeah, and that's exactly right, and that's why I was sharing that with the way you're saying structure. We're in a world right now where everything is in abundance. There is no lack of anything other than what you put your mind on. If you feel you lack, and then you lack, and if you don't, you don't. But in today's world, to save and help others to understand the new abundance that we have available to us in reference to the UILs and all that, and the different systems that you can do to grow, to whereas you can pay off the house or you can pay the mortgage, or you can, use that money toward the good, so you don't never have to worry about ever running out.
That's right.
And because we don't want to run out of things, you know how that goes. When we run out of milk, we got to go back to the store and get more milk.
Exactly.
When we run out of sugar, we got to go back and get some more sugar. So with the URLs and with the payments that you want to always have enough money and funds to cover your expenses on a regular, consistent monthly basis. And the way to do that, I'm glad you shared this, Frank, that's not only what you do as a realtor, but you also letting your clients know that there's an option for them.
Right. Like for example, in real estate, right? We all want to buy our dream home.
Yeah.
Okay. But in order to get to the dream home, you got to first go through a series of homes to be able to get into that dream home.
Right.
For example, if you do the mortgage, 7 years from now, you'll have the equity in the money to be able to pay that off cash, that mortgage.
Mm-hmm.
Right. So what if you grab that money now and put it into another property, and that now you're going to buy a double size of the property because you got the money down, you sell your property, so you basically can buy twice the size of the property that you had before because you structured it correctly. 7 years from now, you can go ahead and go into what you thought was your dream home.
Right.
And keep doing it. You don't have to change your job. You don't have to change anything else. You don't have to, because we all know they're not going to double your salary tomorrow.
No.
Right? That's not going to happen. So therefore, but learn to structure it correctly and you will continue to grow. Right? It's money was meant to be turned, to be moved.
Right.
Okay. So spend the money, but spend it right. Before you spend it, put it somewhere where it's not going anywhere.
Mm-hmm.
So spend borrowed money.
Right.
Spend borrowed money and keep your own.
Yeah. That's right. Well, thank you, Frank. I really appreciate you, brother. Thank you for sharing today. It has really been a help and a blessing. And we're going to have you back on to talk more about that and the financial side of it, and how we can really help these homeowners and first-time home buyers and those existing people that want to learn this system that we just talked about, ladies and gentlemen. You can always go to my podcast on YouTube at Edward Peterson Jr. You can always go to my website at globaltouchenterprise.com. And Mr. Frank, how can they get in touch with you to get more about information about what you talked about today in reference to that? Where can they go?
You can find me all over social media under Francisco Chapa. That's my name, Facebook, Instagram, everywhere, Francisco Chapa. Again, you can also reach out to me.
That's with one P, by the way, ladies and gentlemen, not two P's. I know Chapa is spelled two ways. So one with two P's and another one P.
Yeah, so you can reach out to me in all the social platforms under my name right there. You can easily find me. Or you can give me a call, 713-539-9917. 713-539-9917.
Yes.
I'm here for whatever questions you might have. By all means, don't hesitate to call. I'm looking for a friend.
Yes, sir. And again, for all my Houston residents and Houston people that's renting that talked about moving and starting getting their first home, this will be the gentleman to talk to. This will be the gentleman to go to. And again, I'm gonna showcase that post again on this channel, and then also on the social media platform, so you guys can connect and get in touch with him. He's a great brother of mine. I'll tell you, he's always been a good friend and a close, comrade when it comes to knowing about the business. And he takes the time to study. He takes the time to learn about the things that he's talking about. And that's something very rare that everybody's kind of rushing in today. No. And then now, like I share with you all with AI, it's a technique, it's a tool. All of these things we're sharing with you all is just tools to use to build and becoming wise master builders, so that way you can build and continue to grow on a regular, consistent basis. So with that, ladies and gentlemen, we're going to stop here. I really thank you, Mr. Frank, for coming on my podcast, brother. Again, I'm going to have you on again. And thank you for all who tune in for G.T.E Professional Network Podcast. Again, I'm your host, Ed Peterson. As always, it's been a plum pleasing pleasure as well as a privilege. That's from my brother, Les Brown. And we want to keep you all safe, keep building, keep moving. And always, and I'll say always, ladies and gentlemen, keep building your dream. We'll talk to you again next week. Peace out.